Michael Madden. Michael Madden attended Humboldt State University and planned to become a forest ranger. On August 10, 1996, Michael had set up a camp at Sandbar Flat along the Stanislaus River's main fork west of Beardsley Reservoir in Tuolumne County. Some friends were expected to join him the next day to do some fishing. He left his family's residence in his Chevy Cavalier at approximately 5 a.m. with his dog Matilda along with some camping and fishing gear. He knew the area very well because he and his father had fished and camped there together several times. This would be the last time he was seen again. His friends arrived at the camp the next day to find Michael's camp intact, but Michael and Matilda missing. A man identified as Joseph Tyne appeared at the location soon after Madden's friends arrived. Tyne was carrying a .45 automatic pistol and asked the men who they were and if they were looking for Mikey. Michael had never been addressed by that nickname. His friends told authorities that Tyne repeatedly cocked his pistol throughout the preceding 6 hours as they waited for Madden and Matilda at the campsite. Madden's friends also said that Tyne appeared to be wearing Madden's boots, though this has not been confirmed. Michael was reported missing soon after he failed to show up at the camp. A search was immediately started with search and rescue teams, divers, and sniffer dogs, but nothing was found. 4 days later, the dog, worn out and dehydrated, wobbled into the camp. Detectives hoped Matilda would lead them to Michael, but the dog whined and howled. Tyne was given a polygraph 9 months after Michael vanished. The results are not known. He has never been charged, and his gun did not have any spent shells at the time of Madden's vanishing. Investigators too believe that Michael met with a foul play, possibly at the hands of an unknown serial killer or even Carrie Steiner, who was convicted of murder in the Yosemite area in the 1990s. There is no proof of anyone's involvement in Michael's disappearance, and he remains missing. Bethany Murkowski. Bethany's parents, Larry and Johnny Joe Murkowski, separated in January 2001. The couple's split was reportedly bitter. Bethany lived with her mother, Johnny Joe, in Nashville, but in early March, she'd gone to visit her father at his home in Gleason. Bethany and Larry were scheduled to meet her mother at the Waverly, Tennessee exit off of Interstate 40 during the afternoon on March 4, 2001. Earlier that day, Bethany and Larry spent some time in Little Rock, Arkansas, then drove back towards Tennessee. At about 3:30 p.m., the pair stopped at the Old Hickory Mall in Jackson, Tennessee. Larry told authorities that Bethany entered the mall alone while he was sleeping in the vehicle. He claims he woke up around 4:30 p.m. and entered the mall to search for Bethany, but wasn't able to find her. She has never been seen again. He called 911 at 5:15 p.m. and reported her missing. During the investigation, the police found no proof that she actually entered the mall. Security cameras didn't catch any images of Bethany inside the mall that day. She does not appear on any of the video footage, leaving no hard evidence that she was ever in the mall. Larry has stated that he is not involved in his daughter's disappearance, but authorities have questioned his version of events. Several witnesses later came forward and told police that they saw Bethany in the company of an unidentified Caucasian female shortly after she disappeared. Witnesses said the woman appeared to be in her early to mid-40s, about 5 foot 4 inches and weighing 185 pounds. They said she had brown eyes with dark circles under them, blonde hair that appeared frizzy or damaged. She appeared to be unkempt, like she had not bathed, and her shoes were torn and incorrectly tied. The woman may have been suffering from a hangover. The police said the woman had attempted to enroll Bethany in a school in southeastern Tennessee in April, a month after Bethany had disappeared. Later, the woman was observed boarding a bus with Bethany that may have traveled to Moline, Illinois. Both of Bethany's parents say they had nothing to do with her disappearance, but investigators haven't confirmed that they have been ruled out as suspects. Investigators have also said that it is possible Bethany was abducted by a stranger. Her case remains unsolved. Deborah Diane PO. Deborah Diane PO had two full-time jobs in 1990, one at a newspaper and one at the Circle K convenience store near Hall Road and Aloma Avenue in Orlando, Florida. She worked the night shift alone 5 nights a week. On February 3, 1990, Deborah's boyfriend, Scott, left his shift at the Circle K at 11 p.m. He passed by to check on her 2 hours later at 1 a.m. on February 4th. At 3 a.m., a friend who happened to be driving by the Circle K saw Deborah inside the store, standing behind the counter. This would be the last time she was seen again. In between 3:15 and 3:30 a.m., a customer came into the store to buy a pack of cigarettes and saw a Caucasian man behind the counter. He was between 19 and 25 years old, had a long black hair and dark eyes, and was wearing a black t-shirt with the Megadeth rock band logo and a dragon spitting fire, a skull ring on his finger, and a wire earring with a cross in his right ear. Assuming he was the clerk, she went up to him and asked for cigarettes, but he was unfamiliar with the cigarettes and had to be pointed to the particular brand she wanted. He calmly operated the cash register and made her change. He told her, "You really shouldn't smoke, you know," and handed her the carton of cigarettes. At 4 a.m., another customer came in to find the store empty. After waiting there for a few minutes, he notified the police. The police arrived to find Deborah's red Toyota backed up in the parking lot, locked with her purse, car keys, and paycheck inside. A carton of chocolate milk and a cup of coffee had been left on a stack of house plants behind the counter, with her Circle K smock neatly folded nearby. There was no sign of struggle at the scene. The cash register was locked and there was no evidence of a robbery. It was as if the store had simply been abandoned. Tracker dogs traced Deborah's scent to the rear of the store, over a fence and to a road where they lost the trail, which suggests that Deborah had either voluntarily entered or had been dragged into a waiting vehicle. Poe's boyfriend said men, some of them drunk, frequently harassed Poe, which ranged from harmless creepy to downright dangerous in the few short months she worked at the Circle K. A naked man had even chased her around the store 2 weeks before she vanished, until she was able to lock him out. The man behind the counter that night has not been identified. Police originally didn't go public with any information about him in fear of scaring him out of the Orange County. But after 3 months with no success in identifying him, they went to the media with a composite sketch. Although this man is not necessarily a suspect in Deborah's disappearance, police would like to find and eliminate him as a potential one and learn of anything he might have seen that night. In August 1990, a man riding an ATV found the skeletal remains of a young woman off Aloma Avenue, 2 miles from where Deborah was last seen. These were initially believed to be hers due to the location and the physical similarities, but her family didn't recognize the woman's jewelry, and they were eventually ruled out via dental records. Then, in March 2002, authorities said that they had a suspect in Deborah's disappearance, but refused to publicly identify the individual. That same year, investigators searched an area near a church for her remains, but nothing was uncovered. Detectives looked into multiple suspects over the next few years, although they were never able to charge anyone. Deborah remains missing for 28 years.
Leena Chapin and Gary McCullough. Leena Chapin lived with her fiancé in an apartment outside of Steelville in Dent County, Missouri. On Valentine's Day, February 14, 2006, her fiancé said goodbye when he left for work, and when he returned in the evening, Chapin was gone and her mother was cleaning out her apartment. According to her mother, Sandra Klimp, Leena went down to Florida with another man in a black 2000 Chevrolet Cavalier. She has never been heard from again. She was not reported missing until November 2008, approximately 2.5 years later, and the Dent County Sheriff's Office didn't actually begin investigating her case until 2012. Her mother has never cooperated with the investigation into her daughter's disappearance. Chapin's fiancé moved out of the apartment about a month after her disappearance. When cleaning out the unit, the apartment building's owner noted that a window was broken and there was a large, dark-colored stain on the carpet that could not be shampooed out. The apartment owner did not suspect foul play at the time and threw the carpet away. The unit was later destroyed in an accidental fire. Chapin attended Salem High School, but did not graduate. She got involved with drugs while she was still young and got into minor trouble with the law, but she was close to her family and her sisters, and she tried to be a good mother to her son and would not have willingly abandoned him. There's been no activity on Chapin's social security number since her disappearance, and she left all her belongings behind. There was speculation that Leena's disappearance might have been related to the disappearance of her stepfather 7 years prior. When Leena was only 13 years old, her mother was in the midst of a troubled marriage to Gary McCullough, who suddenly disappeared in May of 1999. Sandra was allegedly having an affair with a man named Christopher Klimp, whom she would later marry 1 year after Gary's disappearance. Christopher was Sandra's fourth husband. Gary's brother, Albert, had been her second, and Gary was her third. In 2003, Leena told Gary's brother that Sandra shot Gary 3 times in the head and that she was forced to help her mother clean up the murder scene. Chapin said she and Sandra cleaned up the blood, pulled up the carpets, and bleached the floor. Then, they wrapped Gary's body in plastic and burned it in a brush fire until only bone fragments remained. Leena had told a similar story to one of her sisters. She said she did it because she didn't want her mother to go to prison and leave her 5 sisters without a caregiver. Albert recorded Chapin's statement without her knowledge and took the tape to the authorities. When the sheriff's office contacted Chapin, however, Sandra hired a lawyer for her, and she exercised her right to remain silent and refused to speak to the police. She did not recant her statement, however. Chapin disappeared approximately 3 years after she had made her statement. She left a young son in Sandra's care. Sandra had wanted legal guardianship over Chapin's son, but Chapin refused to consent, saying it would happen over my dead body. She wanted to take the child with her and move to Arkansas. Sandra has since adopted the boy. In June of 1999, authorities charged Klimp with conspiracy to commit murder. She allegedly had tried to hire someone to kill Gary. However, in August of 1999, the charge was dropped for lack of evidence. Gary was declared legally dead in 2005. Gary's daughters filed a wrongful death suit against Sandra, Christopher Klimp, Leena Chapin, and Klimp's ex-wife. Klimp's ex-wife was later excluded from the lawsuit. In 2012, the family of Gary McCullough was awarded $7 million in damages. Christopher and Sandra divorced in 2014, and Sandra has since married her 5th husband and lives in Mount Vernon, Missouri. It is unknown whether Gary and Chapin's disappearances are connected, but foul play is suspected in both cases.